When you're cooking a meal in your oven, if you got to the stage where you're struggling to see through the glass door, then you know it's time to give it a really good clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a simple way to give the whole oven a really good clean. Must admit, cleaning the oven is something I really hate. There are many other jobs, things like cleaning the windows, the ironing, that I don't like doing, but I don't mind in the end. But cleaning the oven is way down at the bottom of the list. But I thought today's the day I'm going to tackle the oven. There are many different oven cleaners on the market, and I must admit I've tried several of them, had different varying results. But this one I've had recommended to me by several people. This is Oven Pride, and I've actually got 2 packets. I'll explain why in a moment. But this is something that, as I say, 2 or 3 people have recommended to me, and they've had really good results. So I'm going to be using a couple of packs of this. What I have done, so as you saw earlier, I've got my Sunday roast cooking in there, nice beef joint with some Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes. That's all been eaten. That was really nice. I've actually let the oven cool down, and that's something you have to do. Just make sure the oven is cold before you start the cleaning process. But really what I want to do is to start to take things out of the oven, because let's just open the packet. And clearly you've got the safety instructions and you've got the instructions to show you how to use it. But within the packet you do get a bag, and you do get some gloves as well. So I definitely recommend putting the gloves on. Have a read through the safety instructions, because there are certain things you should and shouldn't do. But the bag itself, as you can see, is quite large, because we're going to put in the things like the grill racks and one of the pans in there as well. But what you don't want to do is to put too much in there, because when I pour the liquid in and take the air out of the bag, then I want to try and get as much clean as possible. Because what I am going to do, I'm actually going to clean parts of the hob as well. I've got a gas hob here, and although I do generally keep it clean, there's only so much I can keep clean, because I've not got a dishwasher in the property at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to take this apart, and what I've got the ability to do, which hopefully you have on your oven, is to take the glass out the door. Now some people haven't, so it won't be quite as easy as this, but on this oven it's ever so easy. All we need to do is just take the clip off the top, pop that to one side, and then the glass will just slide out like that. As you can see, to be fair, I've not cleaned, well, I've actually let it get a little bit dirty for a while, because I know I wanted to do a video on this. But let's just shut that a moment, and I'm going to put that, so let's just place it gently on the floor. So let's pop that in the bag. So that's the first bit in there. I'm actually going to get the second bag out as well, because I want to spread everything between the 2 bags and then pour the liquid in afterwards. Clearly, while I'm putting everything in here, I won't need the gloves, because I've got some gloves as well. So from what my friend said, you definitely need to wear those. So as I open the door, I'll take one of the wire shelves out, and as you can see, it's, well, hopefully you can see, it's seen better days. It could do with a bit of a clean, and if I did have a dishwasher, then it would make life a bit easier, just popping in the dishwasher on a high temperature. But at the moment I haven't got one. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to pop that in the bag with the glass shelf. So put the 2 in there together, and a couple of other bits. So I want to spread things like this across the 2 bags. So you can put things like this is a grill pan, or oven pan as some people will call it. Any things that are not non-stick. So if it has got a non-stick coating, then that's not recommended to put in, because you could find that it could damage it. So that's not recommended. But these are not non-stick, so I'm just going to pop these into the other bag. So let's open that up. There we are. Get that in the bag. So these are the bits that I'm going to put in the bag as well. It's just some of the top parts of the gas hob. As you can see, they could just do with a bit of a freshen up. I know they look quite dirty there. On the whole, I do keep them pretty clean. And overall, the shininess of the stainless steel hob is pretty good actually. But overall, things like just these grids could just do with a bit of a clean up. So I'm just going to spread those between the 2 bags, and then we're almost ready to crack on. So for this next part, what I've done is I've actually got a plastic tray just to put both bags in. It's not essential, but I've just done that because if I do spill any, or if I get on the outside of the bag, then at least it's just going to sit in the tray. This is something that my friends used and several other people have used actually. I think it's a really good idea, because what you don't want to do is to get it on the floor at all, because you could find that it might damage the floor, because this stuff is pretty strong. I must admit my friend got some on her arm and it was a bit red for a while. This is where I definitely recommend follow the instructions. So I've put the blue gloves on that came in the packet, and I've also put a jumper on, just an old jumper, just if I did happen to spill any, then it will go onto my jumper, not onto my skin. Now, just to let you know, from the instructions on the box, it does actually say you shouldn't be cleaning any parts, including the pan supports, from a gas hob. Now, I suppose normally I'd follow the instructions. If you follow me on YouTube for a while, you know I'm not a huge fan of instructions, but I must say that in this scenario, I would normally follow the instructions, but the several people I spoke to have all put them in and they've all had really good results from it. So I will leave it up to you if you decide to put them in, but I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and I'm going to put these in because I think they could do with a good cleaning. But really what we first need to do is I'm just going to take the top off of this, and we need to put between 1/2 and 3/4 of the bottle in to the bag. So you don't put all of it in, so just pour it in like that. So it is a rough gauge, so I suppose I might put a little bit more in. So I'm going to go more towards the 3/4 because I'm actually using 2 separate bags, and the other half is actually reserved for inside the oven. So I think that should be okay. So let's put the lid on there. Yeah, I don't want to be spilling that, so just put that to the side. And really the idea now is to seal the bag. So start from one end and just make sure the bag is completely and utterly sealed. You don't want any gaps in there. So just run your fingers all the way along, make sure that there's no gaps whatsoever. And that's the advantage of doing it in the box here. So I will post some links below. So if you're either looking at the oven pride itself or one of these containers, because this was from Amazon as well, then this is a really good one. And as you've sealed it, what you do need to do, I must admit I did forget to do it, but you do actually need to try and take as much air out of this bag as possible. And clearly it's limiting because I've got the pan supports in here as well, but try and remove as much of the air as possible and then seal it right at the end. So I think that is looking okay so far. So I will just double check along here, make sure that's completely sealed, which it is now. And really what I need to do is just to move all the liquid around on the inside. So just keep rotating it and make sure you get it all the way around. This is certainly worth doing for a minute or two, because you want to make sure that everything is coated. And I still think it's worth just having it, just hover it above the tray, just in case I hadn't sealed it properly. At least if there was a leak, then it's going to drip out onto or into the box itself. So I just spent a minute or so rotating that round, getting the liquid all around the pan supports and the grill racks and everything. So I'm just going to pop that one in to the bottom there, just fold that in. As you can see, it's already a little bit, I suppose, golden brown from the dirt that's already started to come off. But let's just get the second one. So in here, I'm basically going to do the same again. So let's get the other bottle. And with this one, again, just nice and carefully, I'm just going to pour that inside. So I'll probably do same again, probably around 3/4 that we've got in there. Perhaps a touch more in there, that should be okay. Just put the lid on. Last thing I want to do is to put it on the floor, then spill it. So just put that to one side. And again, try and get as much air out as possible. And from one end, just start to seal it all the way across. This is certainly worth taking your time doing. There we are. I like these bags, they're very, very substantial. But now we've done that, so I've got as much air out as I can. Now I can start to do the same. So I do need to be careful, I don't want to break the glass at all, and I suppose everything's going to move around in here. I'm just going to spend a minute or so just getting the liquid rotated and all around the glass and everything. There we are. So I've just been really careful with that one, because as I say, I don't want to damage the glass. But you can just see in here again, it's already started to lift it off, and it's only been in there a minute or so. But as far as that process, that is that part done. Now it does recommend to leave that for a minimum of 4 hours. When I'm recording this, it's getting a little bit late in the evening, so I'm actually going to leave this all overnight, because it does recommend to leave it all overnight. I don't want to rush this and try and get it done as soon as I can, just for the sake of it. So I'm going to leave this all overnight, and that's what my friends have done. They've left it overnight and found that the results are really, really good. So for the next bit, I'm just going to get the remaining part of the oven pried and just pour it on the inside. But at the moment, it looks pretty black, so you can't really see anything. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch the oven on, but I'm not going to put any of the temperature on. So hopefully you can see it is pretty filthy in there at the moment. But what I want to do is to just get the rest of it, just pour it on the bottom. There we go. So that's probably, I suppose with that, then just get a sponge like this. I'm actually using a new one. I just want to try and make it as effective as possible. Just use the spongy side, so it doesn't need to be the scourer side at the moment. So just get that and spread that around the inside of the oven. And you don't want to scrimp and save on this, so you want to get a nice coating all the way around. So we're going all the way on the inside here, going in all the nooks and crannies, and you can even see here the sponge itself is starting to get pretty dirty already. And I'm just going to go at the back as well, and then keep scooping this up, just moving it around. So I suppose first time, because this is the first time I've used this, then I've probably put a little bit too much in here, but I suppose we'll see. So now I've pretty much finished that. As you can see, I've probably got a little bit too much residue at the bottom, but I'm just going to leave that just so that I can really get it clean at the bottom. If you weren't able to take the glass door out, this is really where I'd recommend wiping over the glass door. Make sure it's got a good coating of the goo on there. I suppose it looks a little bit gooey, but hopefully by now this is working its magic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave this again overnight. It does recommend to leave it for at least 4 hours, but as I said, it's getting quite late at night when I'm recording this. So I'm going to leave this overnight to work its magic. Going to come back in the morning and see how it's done. Just a little tip, because on here you can see I've got some of the liquid on here. Because I've got 2 pairs of these, because I've used 2 packets, then I'm actually going to bin these gloves, because I just don't want to risk leaving the gloves lying around. So I'm just going to take them off and just stick them in the bin straight away. So I've left these overnight, and it'd be really interesting to see how everything's done. But let's just have a quick look in the oven. Just turn the light on. As you can see, it's just started to, well, it's dried out a bit inside. But what we need to do now, let's just turn that off for a moment. What we need to do now is I'm going to take these out, and the blue container at the bottom I'm going to fill with hot soapy water. I've just decided before I start cleaning the racks, I'm actually going to clean inside the oven. Now all we need to do with this is just get the hot soapy water and just give it a wash around inside. So I'm going to use the original sponge, so there's no point wasting another one. So just get the sponge, and again I'm just going to pop it on so I've got a light inside, but just I suppose start to get rid of some of the residue on the inside, and then let's see how it looks afterwards. So now I've given it a wipe out inside with the sponge. Must admit, looking really good, but what I need to do is I need to start to get rid of the suds now. So what I've got is I've just got a separate cloth with no soot on it, so it's just got some hot water on it. So I'm just going to give it a quick wipe out inside and keep rinsing it to get rid of everything that's in there. Just showing the side of the oven, and as you can see, looking a lot better. It could do with just drying out. You can see there are just some dry marks on the back there, but overall looking a lot better. Hopefully you can see this as I'm giving everything a thorough wash and a really good rinse over. Everything is looking really sparkly, so I'm really impressed so far. And then what I'm doing is, as I'm giving it a quick dry, then I'm just going to start loading the oven back up, because in here worktop space is not at a premium. As I'm rinsing the inside of the door, just have a look at how easily the dirt and the grease is coming off. That is absolutely fantastic, and for me, because as I mentioned earlier, I hate cleaning ovens, to have something that's that easy to get clean is just fantastic for me. So now I've done that, as I say, no scrubbing, so it doesn't really matter which side of the sponge I was using, it's just fallen off, and all I need to do now is go and give it that quick rinse. Just going to show you the colour of the water coming out. As you can see, it's nasty brown, so I would recommend, once you've poured this away, then just give your sink a really good clean round and start running water through the plug hole straight away. And also, if you've got a container like this, then just give it a really good rinse out as well. What you need to make sure, once you've finished everything, with the 2 bags, or 1 bag if you've only used one, make sure they're fully sealed at the top here, and just go and put them in an outside bin. You don't want them on the inside bin, or any chance of leaking, so just go and put them outside straight away. As you'll see, that you've got horrible brown liquid, so the oven pride has done a really good job in getting everything clean. I'll just quickly show around the hob in the oven. As you can see, the pan supports and even the top rings here are looking so much cleaner. They're still a little bit damp, that's why I've got some of the wet marks on here. And if we go into the oven, just pop that on. What I've done is I've put the glass back in now, and again, everything's slightly damp inside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the door open for probably a couple of hours, just make sure that everything is dry inside. I'm sure there are many ways to clean your oven, but I found this way, it was just nice and easy. I know it took overnight to do it, I couldn't do it straight away, but I hate the scrubbing side of it, and I just found that using the oven pride and then having it in the big container to wash everything down in was a really good idea. Hope you found it useful, how to clean your oven and hob. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just give us a quick thumbs up, click subscribe, leave any comments below. I always ask for comments, whether it's good or bad about the video. I'm sure I'll get some comments on how I've cleaned it, or if you've found another way to clean your oven, if there's another product that you've used, or if there's another method, because I'm sure there are many ways of cleaning your oven, but I just found that this way has worked really well for me. So if you found another way or another product, pop in the comments and let me know what works for you, or what doesn't work for you. If there's something that doesn't work, let me know as well. Anyway, thanks for joining me today.